Yay!
Yay! Woohoo! Yayer.
Welcome everybody. Welcome. We got Dancing Sid. We got Halloween Jenny. We have Leela and
Halloween.
Indira. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Stunning.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all the absolute seeing itself. It's all the mirror. It's all the God talking to itself, waking itself up from the dream. And it's just too self evident, too obvious. This conscious presence, this beingness that just is, that already is this feeling I am, this feeling I am alive, this love for life that's beyond words, prior to mind, your original face. Through being aware, awareness sees itself being aware of thoughts, focusing on the feeling I am, transcends everything, it dissolves everything.
Mhm.
And then it's seen that it is everything. That's all there is. How
Yeah.
beautiful.
I like the way she said it.
I like the way you said it.
Yeah, it's so intimate. It's so intimate that that can't even be said. Do you know, like intimacy is
Mhm.
close, but
Yeah, no words.
words to describe, and yet we use words in the dream.
Mhm.
And I liked what Sid said, like we can have fun. You know, we have these names, Brahman, whatever, Krishna, whatever, but it's all pointing to the same thing,
Mhm.
nothing and everything.
Yeah, this unified field,
And,
God that we are
and
as
that,
one.
that has no name.
Mm-hmm.
What we're pointing at cannot be spoken.
Mhm.
And
Every word is it too.
imagining this is what you want. You love this dream. It's absolutely amazing playing on this playground, this infinite playground, exploring your infinite potential perspective, everything in this dream of consciousness. That you that's Pada Brahman, invisible, formless, can't be seen, is the knowing principle already cognized, so can't know itself like in deep sleep through this imagining what you're not, the opposite form, qualities, thoughts, is the mirror that you see yourself in. So you can, it's just amazing. It's absolutely beautiful.
What about the imagining what we're not? What about when that's included as what we are too?
Yeah, that's what you see. This feeling, this felt sense of beingness I am. It's seen that that is all there is. There are no objects. There are no.
It's inescapable, Sid. And
Yeah, there is no inner or outer. The outer is the inner.
we get to play in subject object too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ecstasy is when it's recognized that you are everything, every sensation. You are making love to yourself through every sensation, through every thought, through every feeling, through every taste, through every touch, through every appearance, the walking of the feet, the breathing, the heartbeat, the sound of the voice, the words, everything. And that's the ecstasy. That's the the tantric quality of, making love to yourself is everything, being everything.
So I want to say that unknowing is underrated. Like it doesn't get the press. Nobody ever raised their hand. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. No. Yet all the magic, all the fun, feeling connected is all in the unknowing.
Mm.
Just
Yeah.
being.
I,
Childlike wonder.
I was telling one of my friends about that I was going to come on and be with you guys. And one thing that I said was so delightful in this, you're calling it a Zoom party, and just as I've watched you, is that none of you yet are like famous teachers, famous non-dual teachers. And but there's something that happens that can happen, right? With then there becomes, it's not just that what you're saying, Michael, the not knowing. It's not just that the space of, well, we're just playing together. We're just playing. What do we have to do anything? We don't have to do anything. So we don't have to do anything impressive. We're just playing. And I'm hoping that then there's like, and there's something that's just so raw and innocent and open in that, and such the discovery that I just enjoy that and appreciate what you guys are, what you're offering. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much fun to bask and revel together.
Mm-hmm.
The path can be lonely, you know,
Mm.
especially down here in Mississippi.
Mm.
Yeah, it's so beautiful to get to talk about this every day, all day. It's amazing. It is the only conversation.
Mhm.
And everything is saying this. Everything's the clue. Everything's already.
Ah, my favorite word.
Mm-hmm.
Already just knocked me out. If it's already, then there's nothing to seek for. If it is, and it was asked here as a question,
Mm-hmm.
I had to look in to see if it was already the case. Is God already the case, or Brahman, or
Mm-hmm.
homeless?
And what's it like then? This is like my where I keep playing in here, and like what's it like then to be here in that already? What's it like? We get to have these bodies, and we get to have these bodies in time, and then there's this already. So what's it like? What's this like? What's it like being you in that?
Freeing. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
it's like holding this cup is it. To this is it.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Not to.
no
Yeah.
past or there's whatever this body is doing is it. And so that thought form that would come up, well, we've got to go meditate in about an hour, or we've got to go do this. I feel like that was a bit of seeking, and that was okay too. But that, since that has fallen away, it's seen that anything that this body is doing is it, is it. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to think about it. It's effortless.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels tingly, Sid.
It does. It tingles. And it's like deep sleep while awake. It's just, um, and without thought even, it's so obvious that there's no distinguishing. There's not even perceiving. It just is.
Can we say that thought is our whole world?
What is there without thought? That's all. It's all a mental projection. It's all one mind.
But what I call my life or this world, is it not just a single thought?
Yeah, what is there without a thought? No thing. No distinguishing, no description. Non conceptual beingness. The screen from which everything appears and disappears. That you are the source of thought. You are the source.
It feels better when I like to say thought is a slave instead of the other way around. You know,
Mm.
when we believe in it so deeply and believe it actually symbolizes something substantial and relevant, um, that's when the self-centered, uh, intense sensations can become overwhelming.
I love that, Leela. I love the way you flip that. So thoughts are like, right? Because when you believe yourself to be your thoughts, you feel enslaved. And that was an innocent assumption. I'm my thoughts. I'm my thoughts.
I'm the thinker, the doer.
Which is just that innocent misidentifying this pure sentience, this pure aliveness that can't be contained, that's non conceptual, with being the object of attention, which is just an illusion. The body's an illusion being imagined by you, that is the source. So the thought, too, is it's so beautiful because it's even logical that if you're aware of the thought, then you precede the thought, you're prior to the thought, you're the source. And so it's another way, everything's the goddamn way to see. The absolute sees itself in the mirror. So even being aware of the thought, is the mirror from which you as the pure awareness sees yourself. And then you can see that what is it without you being aware of it? It is awareness. It's one. It can't be separate. It's all perceiving, all experiencing, self-aware.
Mhm. You always make it feel like a party, Jenny.
Oh, really? It is. It's so playful and fun. It's a celebration. That initial like seeing the original face, like the mirror turning around on itself, where you're being aware even of a sensation or a feeling, and an illusory object of attention. That's the absolute seeing itself in the mirror, because you're invisible. You can't see yourself except for in your imagined form of what. So this playful way of seeing yourself, it's like, and focusing on the feeling is non-computational. That's prior to mind. That transcends and dissolves everything. The feeling, I am. And then it's seen that that is everything. That's all there is. And it's so familiar and it's so home. And you're like, oh my God, I was labeling that Jenny, the body, that the thought, the avatar. And it's like, no, this is everything.
Mm.
Yeah. Jenny was just a thought.
Yeah.
What about from there? After you've got the transcending, the dissolving, the mirror turns around, and here and I am. And there's only this. And then there's, oh, going to the ice cream parlor, getting in a car, joining my four friends here on Zoom. We're
Hmm.
like, oh wow, I'm gonna put on my fancy blue shirt. All of this experience in seeming time of these beautiful people, of Ginny, Leela, the parent people and time. What about it? and maybe we differ in this. Like for me, there's such a and then a celebration of that too. It's like even the once this is clear, the ability to kind of it's like this is better than virtual reality, man. These are better than
Yeah.
virtual goggles. I'm right
Yeah.
here. What about that? How does that play in for you guys?
Mhm. Yeah, it's where you're like, oh yeah, mountains are mountains again. This is it. This is
Uh-huh.
Fauna. It always was. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's just like, wow, this is insane. Nobody's driving. And
No one's moving. No one's doing anything. You're
yeah,
not
it's all
moving. Just like when I was jogging this morning, it was so obvious I wasn't moving.
yeah, you can have those surreal moments where it feels like the world is moving past you and you're at the center point, stuff like that. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, anything can arise. Fear, visceral survival fear. Anything is allowed, and there's no filter. There's no resistance, so it's just fully intense, full on, and nothing says it shouldn't be that way. Um,
No
so it's
resistance. Yeah.
very dramatic, very sensational.
Yeah. And exciting. It's like surprise. You have no clue. It's just like the dream at night is spontaneously unfolding. You don't know what you're going to think in 2 seconds or what's going to happen. It's just like this childlike wonder and this total creative flow too. There's no doer. It's just appearing to happen. So it's spontaneously unfolding and appearing to do itself. This intelligence, this energy. It's just this mental projection, that's not it's not real, it's not really happening, but it's absolutely stunning.
Like flow, but without
Hmm.
someone to be in it. Just
Hmm.
just the river.
Uninhibited, yeah.
I'm going to, if you guys post this, I'm going to share this with my friends and a group of like 4,000 folks that are exploring this edge in this IFS non-duality.
Nice.
And with that, I'm wanting to play. I just have when I hear us say, because it's not real. And we know that it's all of this, it's all of this beingness. And then, like, can it also be real at the same time? The experience of here, I get to be with the four of you guys today, and it's like the joy that's here, and wow, I'm getting to finally meet Michael, and it's just, and
Hmm.
it's all of this. It's that. I guess that's what I'm curious about. How you make sense of that? Because at first, like Leela says, like the mountains are mountains, and hey, mountains aren't mountains anymore. There's just mountains and rivers. There's just this. And then Leela says, then there are mountains again. What about
Hmm.
Yeah. So I
It's it.
Hmm.
Sid dancing
Party
Sid.
time.
Party Sid, get him a hat. Um, so here there came a loss of an ability, Sid, to differentiate between duality and non-duality. I don't know what those terms mean anymore. Same with what's real and what's not real.
Mhm.
I don't know the difference.
Yeah, or
Hmm.
worthy and unworthy. A lot of those dualistic terms are like, what? What are they even like? It made so much sense before, but now it
Now I
really
can't
doesn't.
compute it. Same here. Like when the me is being brought up, I can't compute. I have no clue. I can see how it was obscured. I can see how um, that's self-evident, this palpable presence of beingness, I'm alive, was innocently misidentified. But it's like, yeah, this just swallows everything. And like Sri Ramana said, which reminded me of what you said, Brahman is real. The universe is illusion. Brahman is the universe. So it's like all
Mm,
there is the absolute. The absolute is real, is existence itself. This pure felt sense that's has no words, indescribable, that just is already,
How do you
is
describe,
God.
how do you describe what you see, Ginny, when we see this woman with this witch's hat, and what do you when you look into your square, what are you seeing? What's there? What is that?
Mhm.
It's like just pure aliveness, just pure this unified field of beingness that just is one, making love to itself is just one. And so this mental projection is, you could say, in my own perverted way, masturbation. It's just like making love to itself through everything. It is itself. It's self-evident. And so through this dream of aliveness of being, you as the invisible formless can see itself, and how amazing this is what you want, this experiencing. So yeah, no subject object, just, like if you're, even right now, if you look at this screen without a thought, there's no distinguishing objects. There's no objects.
Mm-mm.
Just shapes and colors and
You
that's it.
can't even say that.
Yeah, it's unknowable, and actually discerning between the computer that's closer and the window that's further back and the trees beyond that, that's um it's like a subconscious assumption.
Mm.
And that can fall away at times.
Mhm.
And it can be more like a fishbowl is the world, and that's your head, is how I describe it. But um,
Yeah, all there is pure awareness. Absolute. Yeah. The
it's
relative is the absolute.
it's unknowable and undivided.
Yeah, because you are it. You can't know it.
And so trying to know it or trying to figure it out is it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Figure that one out. You
Hmm.
can't get apart from it to see it or to say what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't get apart from it to get to it.
Right. That's why it's masturbating, right, Jenny?
It feels like it resonates as like what Michael titled this it's a party. It's like we're like it's just a celebrate. It's like it's a celebration of this of what when as we're describing this of how the as this appears as it expresses through and as each of us. It's like a celebration of life. Like I'm trying, my job is often to try to translate and bridge to my friends that aren't dancing with you guys in this clarity. And I love how they describe it in India using our friend's name, like this dance of Leela, this joy of life, as this just it is. And
Yeah.
I'm
That's
loving
what you
how each of
want.
you guys are describing it.
Yeah. You want to, yeah. You even want to get lost in your own dream. And just like having a daydream, imagining mental projections, images, how can you be separate from it? You're the one mind imagining it, you know? You can't be separate. And the dream at night, what is in the dream at night? There's no separate entities. It's all one pure consciousness, one awareness, perceiving sensations, tickling itself. Just so amazing. And that's what this is.
Jenny, if you were just a little more sensual, you really need to unfreeze,
But that's so beautiful the way Jenny I I was when I watched one of your videos and talking about the eroticism of this. It's
Mm-hmm.
so beautiful because in my work, which is often helping people get to the glimpse this unity,
Mm-hmm.
all of self, all of beingness, intimacy has been so core in this. It's like an intimacy with everything that's
Yeah,
rising.
it is. It's beyond intimacy. Oh my gosh, it's too close. Yeah, it is. It just is. Yeah, so when the mirror turned around on itself and it was like focusing on that feeling I am without thoughts. It just was this pure conscious presence. It just is. The absolute saw itself in the mirror and it was like, oh my God, I'm God dreaming this. I'm not this character. This is a beautiful mental projection, illusion. I'm imagining this. And I am everything in this dream. And it was like, oh my God, every thought, every word, every feeling, every sensation, the grass under my feet, someone saying, asking, what are we having for dinner? It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. It was shimmering. It was me. It was all me. You know, it was just like all one. And that's that ecstasy, that making love, that being everything, being everything. There is no separation. And just this being this one mind exploring itself, making love to itself is just amazing. And it makes so much sense, you know? Like you as the absolute that's invisible, the pot of Brahman, that can't be seen, that singularity all alone can't get outside of itself to see itself. It just is like in deep sleep. Through this dream, imagining qualities, forms, you can see yourself, you can sense yourself, you can dance with yourself. And it's just absolutely amazing. I mean, how amazing to appear as friends, appear as family, appear as wow. The taste of chocolate, all of it. It's incredible.
Mm.
So even getting lost in the dream is what you wanted. Forgetting that you're and feeling finite, feeling mortal, that you were born and you can die. That's what you wanted. You wanted to know what that was like. You wanted to know everything, every perspective, even what it's like to wake up from the dream, what it's like to see yourself in the mirror and to recognize that you are the absolute. And so through this, illusion of duality, singularity sees itself. It's the mirror. So all of these illusory objects of attention are the mirror. So the body, the thoughts, the qualities, because you're without qualities. You're so it totally makes sense even that that's how you see yourself, you know. If you're the only one, you can't see yourself without seeing what you're not, that involuntary negation. So
It's
appearing.
be separate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's so beautiful too because everything's the clue to wake up from the dream. Even when I looked back at when it seemed like a nightmare, that's what shook me out of thinking it was real. It was that intense resistance to this. It was the catalyst to waking up. Just like a nightmare at night, that hardcore fear shakes you out of the dream. And then you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, that was just a dream. So all of it's the catalyst, all of it's the clue.
I also love where you go with this, Ginny, and oh, it's all chocolate, where it's the eroticism, the beyond intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
because in the when it is dualistic, when they are objects, when they are arisings, when there are resistances in us, I find what you're pointing to be a really useful doorway for our friends. Like
Mm-hmm.
really find an enjoyment. First there's an acceptance, but really find an enjoyment of savoring oh, yummy, it's like chocolate. Even the discomfort and the resistance, if we can find that.
Mm-hmm. That dissolves everything. Even focusing on the resistance without thought completely dissolves it. It destroys everything. It swallows the entire universe, and it's seeing yourself as the source. So all of it's the way. Every way is the way. So even focusing on the feeling, the sensation of a thought, of the feel, even pain, focusing on the feeling without thought, you can not only dissolve, the subject object. It's obvious it's not separate, but you also see that if you're aware of it, you're the source of it, you precede it, and you're unaffected, you're untouched when you're focused on pure awareness. And you can even hear a sound in the room. You can tell that you're unaffected. You're the pot of Brahman from which it's appearing. You're the screen from which it's appearing. So it's like it's just a mirror, and then it's like obvious. You are that. You are appearing as that. You're not separate from that. There is no subject object.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful magic trick. It's almost, just as an analogy, it's almost as if you're the sun. You're the sun, but you're mesmerized by the beams of light. And so you don't recognize that they're coming from you.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it was that initial misidentification with, labeling that pure beingness, aliveness, sentience with just being in
Yeah.
this body. And that was the illusion of subject
But
object.
but that in this analogy, so there you are going, oh, look at that stupid ray. I was, not realizing it's commenting on itself.
How
Mm.
sweet.
But isn't that the sweetest thing when that opens up? It's like it might be stupid Ray or hey, I want more of that Ray. And when that opens up, when we point to another and say, oh, that jerk, or I don't like him, and I as Leela and I've talked a lot about Byron Katie. She was really helpful for me. And she has this thing like to hurt another it's like me breaking my own leg. And it's like as we open up to that, it's so beautiful what you're pointing to, Michael, that it's all the ray, but then we really bring that deeply into an immersed experience as living in time on this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say, Sid, it's the not noticing. So you don't notice, you just are so focused on the rays that the
Mm-hmm.
idea that you're the source never even occurs to you. So it's all about looking outside you and judging which rays are better than which and which I like.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
so there can be this awakening, and that is when your interest begins to go the opposite direction. You begin to realize what you're seeking isn't in any ray. It's already within, but that has to be seen for oneself.
Seen and felt at the same time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that rawness of seeing and feeling, oh, wow. And even getting up in the morning and doing things, practical things in the morning, watching the body do what it's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then seeing the arising of the thoughts arise. And it's it's just so obvious that what I perceive myself to be is even that's not it, but yet is it.
Yeah.
The stories or the thoughts or whatever that arises is part of it all. But there was, and I always say this, there was so much identification with those thoughts that it was almost like it's like this is like a metaphor. It's like walking around with concepts, ideas, stories, set just words, labels like this on the eye, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden that kind of like all of a sudden, instead of looking through the thought and being identified as thinking that that's what I am,
Mm-hmm.
then there's a turning in, and it's like, and it's just so quiet. It's like it's been here the entire freaking time. I mean,
Yeah.
um, and then now when thoughts and stories arise, it's almost like it still arises, but it's not covering this up. It's more like in a backpack, and it just comes
Mhm.
out. It's like, oh, it just arises. But what's more in the forefront is just this beingness, which I call it,
Mhm.
I don't know what else to call it. Um, Nothing or whatever. And it just feels natural. There's
Mhm.
thinking of it, there's no believing in it, there's none of that. Uh,
Mhm.
it's just like these hands are moving, but there's no thought in this. It goes like this. There's no thought in that. It's just happening.
Mhm.
See that throughout
You're
the
as you're sharing this with us, what's your favorite way of helping others find and get a taste of it? Like it's like it's switched for you, the switch that's happened from all of this that was in the foreground, and then it just moved into the backpack, and then here I am as this presence, this beingness in the foreground. How do you help people find that?
yeah. Well, I'm looking at you, Sid. I would say, let's just put attention on breathing for just a moment. Thoughts may arise. That's okay. Let the thoughts arise. But let's take that attention, and put it on the sense gates of the body. Where's your hand? Let's put attention on that. Just put attention on that. That's it. Put attention on on the legs. Great. Then on the breathing. And then I would say close your eyes for just a second. The attention's on the breathing, the sensations of the body. Just stay with that. There's a sound, attention on sound. There's that whatever sound is arising, put attention on that. Now all together, sound, touch, feeling, breathing, just put attention on that. Stay with that. That's it. Now open your eyes and look around. Colors, well, they're just words, but look at everything without label. Just look. What's looking?
Mhm.
What's
What's looking? Yeah, I like that.
turning the head?
Yeah,
Okay,
what's perceiving this?
that's okay. The thoughts are arising. That's great. You don't have to do anything about the thoughts. Smiling is happening. There's no thought to smiling. When you get up in the morning, notice that was another thing I started to notice too, getting up in the morning and using the bathroom. There was no thought to using the bathroom. Now, thought will come afterwards. I would what's noticed here is it'll start to presume, or it'll start to say what it needs to do. It'll start to label, and sometimes it'll match up the thoughts what the body is doing, but sometimes not at all. It'll say, well, we got to do this in the next couple of hours, and maybe we should, we're going to do this. We like, and then there's like inquire, well, who's speaking? Who's, and then the next thing I know, the body is doing yoga when the mind is saying we're going to go to the grocery store. How do you
Mhm.
explain that? It just has an intelligence, not even of itself, that takes care of itself. It just knows what to do without thought.
Mhm.
When you spend time there, it can become very obvious that there's no one thinking the thoughts. They're popping up like everything else without an entity doing it. And that can be a little creepy if you've never seen it before, you know. And subconsciously we avoid that because it shows us that we don't exist in the way that we believe.
Yeah, you're
We,
not what you thought you were.
we are life.
Even when
There's
you're
no border.
driving is another great way of seeing, for anybody. They're driving, notice I have a stick shift, and there's a noticing that the body is just moving the stick from first gear,
Mhm.
third to fourth, but there's no thought process to it.
Yeah, thoughts are like they're not even necessary. You can go all day without them. You can turn them on and off. They're just for fun.
Yeah, they become really funny and not serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when Indira says the okayness. That's a good word for that. Okayness. It just is. It's all allowed. It's free to, everything's free to play on the playground. And it can be obvious that it's not even happening. None of it's happening. It's just like deep sleep. It's nothing's happening.
I noticed that all of us use the word noticing. Like that's a really underrated
Mm-hmm.
tool because exactly what you were saying about driving, Indira, I noticed the body, I don't need to think I have to put the key in the front door. The body knows how to put the key in the front door. So it's just noticing that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, noticing is a powerful word, and when you really notice, you see that there's nothing to notice. There's nothing that would has the ability to notice. There's
Mm.
only noticing.
That's
Yeah.
why it was so hard in the beginning. I was like, wow, well, you guys express it really well, but for me, it was like, how the F do how do I talk about this? You know, there's just language kind of makes it hard.
Yeah, because
You can't say
without,
wrong or right. I'm sorry, Jenny, go ahead.
oh yeah, yeah. No fucking it up. It's every way, every word, all pointing to itself. But yeah, at the same time, indescribable. Which includes infinite description, infinite meaning.
When you see that you can't say it correctly, it becomes like a paint medium. It becomes very expressive. Can't get it right, can't get it wrong. It's futile.
Beautiful.
The grace of futility. That was Leela's quote.
No.
Yeah, like
So it's
the
so what
go
you
ahead.
guys are saying here, Leela, the painting, you can't get it wrong. It's all this, and Jenny said you can't fuck it up. Every word is pointing to it. Is this?
Mm-hmm. Singing to itself, serenading, making love to itself is everything. Yeah. Already, whatever's appearing to happen is what's being longed for, even the longing.
So beautiful. It all got started from. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was like, it all got. I was. It was a long time ago for me. It was. And I saw I met that woman, Byron Katie, and it was one thing that, which is what you guys are doing right here. Whoever would be in front of her, it's like tears would just come. She would look at her hand and tears would come because just like that painting, just like every word that you're describing, everything for her is this exquisite love and expression of this not knowing of Michael's, this love, this beingness, and it was so real for her that tears would just come, and I was like, okay, I have no idea what she's talking about, but that
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, that felt sense, that beingness, non-conceptual. That
Yeah.
already is, that's already self-evident. Everyone knows that they are. It's too easy. It's already realized, it's already cognized. It's just recognizing that oh my gosh. And all you recognize is what was covering it up because it already is. It's always been this.
Mm.
Yeah.
Another cue, or is what's perceiving this. What's perceiving in this is the source. You are the source.
And then the freedom too, the lightness is seeing that whatever was covering this up is part of it all too.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to fix, or it's just seen for what it is, and then Before I know it, it's done. It's gone. It's not even existing.
Yeah, that's when all the problems fall away.
Mhm.
And there's just acceptance of what's preferred and not. It's all allowed.
Mm-hmm. And
Mhm.
it's so unique and beautiful. Like watching a movie at the movie theater, you're totally entertained. You're not identifying as you're not in the movie, you know?
Mhm.
It's just so beautiful seeing all these unique qualities that, and all, it's all inclusive. It's all in love. It's in love with every quality, even pain.
I remember when there were so many beliefs about scary movies like The Exorcist. I remember watching it, and then that whole belief system that was held on to for a long time, about evil and the devil and all of that, which was innocently believed. Now I can look at scary movies and it's just fun to watch, to look at the makeup. It's like, wow, look at that. She just turned her head all the way around.
Yeah.
Really amazing. Like I can have fun watching it instead of, and even if there is fear that arises, that's okay too, but that I've noticed. I enjoy scary movies now. That's different.
With that, the scary movies, but with the way that becomes very real with pain, which is kind of a last edge for so many people. It's like, yeah, this is all great, but then there's pain and there is resistance to that. What about how did that open for you guys as far as finding that pain is just an expression of this as
Hmm.
well?
Yeah, I could see the resistance to the pain being the catalyst to wake up from the dream, like the nightmare at night where there's so much resistance and that's what wakes you up because you're seeing that there's a resistance to identifying with the finite sensation, the illusory sensation, because you know you're the infinite. Everyone knows this already.
Mhm.
So identifying with that as being separate from that is what wakes you up. So it's all the catalyst.
Yeah, it was like it's so immediate and there's not a continuum because a continuum is only there when it's practical. So when it's not practical, it's seen as delusional. And you can't even really believe it, even if it arises as a thought. So it's
Hmm.
there's only this, you know.
Hmm. Yeah,
It
what's
can't be
permanent?
it can't
What's
be
always
different.
there? Hmm.
But it can be no other way. And in that, there's a relaxing, a futile relaxing. And resistance can be there, but there's no resistance to the resistance. So it's just full on throw a fit, and then it's gone. You looked at it, that's all it wanted, and
Uh,
on to the next.
That's
I would, oh, go ahead.
no. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I was just going to say, Sid, that by the way, I really appreciate the way you ask questions. You're the most enthusiastic question answerer, asker I've ever met. It's such a joy because you are genuinely interested, and
Hmm.
that's a rare trait. So,
Such a talent. It really is.
yeah. So here, there is still the distinction between, let's call it psychological pain and physical pain. And before, often the attention would go to the story.
Hmm.
And now I notice that it goes directly to the pain, not interested in the story, and then being with the pain in a real and authentic and open way.
Which
Hmm.
feels like energy. It just, when you look at it, it's not even painful most of the time. It's just an energetic, like fiery feeling somewhere in your torso or your gut or.
And there's no judgment. Because there was so much identification with stories with like grief, sadness, anger, and there was like identification with, well, where is this anger coming from? And then there would be stories that will come up about the anger, about the person or whatever that is going on. And then there would be the attention would go straight to that and completely forget about the sensations, and then there would be a resistance. And I think that was another form for me when I look back of also avoiding what's happening in the body, because this is the most natural thing, the most natural thing. You know, babies cry when they're born. You know, when they want something, they have a hissy fit. But then you notice they don't hold on to any like stories about it. And so for here,
Mhm.
it's the same thing, and it's so fast. You know, like with work, I was sharing work is a great example where sometimes customers, I there's, you know, somebody will get upset because I didn't give them ice in their cup, you know, or whatever.
Mhm.
And then there would be a trigger, like, and then the mind would be, what an asshole, you know, it'll just start talking. And then, but the feeling, that anger, then there would be the sensation of the feeling of the anger. Just sit with it. I mean, there's no like, it's so organic in the way of feeling. It's natural. There's no like going to school or going to see a therapist about it. It's the most natural thing that I,
Mhm.
and then when that's felt, it's gone without entertaining the story of it. And then it's forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, feeling is being. So
Yeah.
it's one. Yeah, so feeling into it dissolves it. It swallows the entire universe. And what's interesting too about I've noticed that there's no difference between pleasure and pain. It's the same. It's all impersonal sensations appearing and disappearing in the pure consciousness that you are, and you're perceiving all of these sensations. It's a verb. It's experiencing. It's one with, not separate from. It was only painful when there was resistance to it, separating it. That's what made it appear painful. But even if you close your eyes, you can't. There is no body. You know, there, when you close your eyes, there is no body. You can't feel where the skin ends and the spaciousness begins. It's all empty spaciousness, this unified field of consciousness. So even pain is just an impersonal sensation arising in pure consciousness that appears and disappears. And it's temporary. So seeing all this, what comes and goes, the question is, what's permanent? What's always here? Here now, always, always. When the images on the screen of, you know, appear and disappear, impermanent, impersonal sensations, what is always there? The screen that's completely untouched, untainted by what's appearing to happen, that's immortal, invincible, eternal. So yeah, that that beingness is always content, fulfilled.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
eternal happiness. That is the bliss. That is the bliss. That's aware of what comes and goes. You know, it's the childlike wonder that's just amazed by all of it, you know. By even the sensation of sadness is bliss, is
Mhm.
there's a joy in all of it. It's celebration. So what's being looked for is what's perceiving the looking, and is the looking.
Yeah. Thoughts are an energy of negotiating and claiming to know. And because it believes that it knows, I mean, not as an entity, but as an energy that's innocently expressing with arrogance, as our conditioning leads us to do. Um, because it believes it knows, it sort of holds that position. But when there's a real openness and just noticing, you say, "Oh my God, I don't know," and that feels vulnerable, and that's when the feeling can become more prominent.
Mm-hmm. And that's the only way you, as the invisible, absolute, eternal, formless, infinite, could appear to have a human experience and to feel what it was like to be mortal and finite by um, distracting yourself with thoughts, concepts, because in that silence, that feeling, I am, it's too obvious. You don't exist as an individual. So that's the game of hide and seek, and that's, you didn't want to see. yourself. You wanted to be distracted with that.
Yeah, it's such a
So it's
surprise.
yeah, it's playful. It's fun. What is it like to get lost in your own dream? Like being in the movie theater and thinking that you're in the movie, forgetting that you're not in the movie.
Mhm.
You're the source of the movie.
Like Ginny says, you want that shit.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's all what's being longed for, all of it.
I would say also um, this idea of practicing, which is often a dirty word in non-duality. I would say it took some practice to start to not go to story first thing. Because once you get entangled with story, the should be happening, the shouldn't, why, blah, 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 how can I make it go away? It's endless. It's like an endless rabbit hole. So there can be consciously going, no, what's the feeling right now?
Hmm.
It's a practice that I think bears fruit. The more you do it, the better you get, the quicker it happens. So you eventually lose interest in the story and go right directly to the feeling to be with it. And as you said, Jenny, it neutralizes it.
Yeah, it dissolves everything, dissolves the whole world, the whole universe. It is the source, it's the absolute seeing itself. So it's like the more you abide in that, the more you're firmly established in that feeling, which is non-computational. It's precedes the mind, is the source of the mind, the absolute. It swallows everything. It's seen that that is all there is. That is all there is. There's nothing else.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So though I will say that the more I abided as that, the more it took over. It destroyed everything.
And the apparent pattern of process, it doesn't contradict the wholeness. That's what the wholeness seems to me do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the paradox resolves itself, and you don't have to be afraid of saying process or practice or,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all just expression.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was just going to share too. Thank you, Leela, Michael, and Jenny and Sid. Yeah, that when this was seen, then thoughts were like, well, how do we talk about this? It's there's no language to it, and then
Mm-hmm.
what arose was like a little bit of uncomfortableness in here, and then just gradually there was like this. I would like to say intuition. If it didn't have words, but if it had words, it would be go with the flow. Just go with the flow, and just you have to communicate in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that it sounds dualistic. So
And isn't that funny that it's always been doing that? It's
yeah,
so funny to ever think that there was anything controlling it, just like the dream at night, where it's just spontaneously happening, and all there is perceiving. And it's just amazing how there ever was a thought that there was a doer or controller of, and it's so obvious that it's just appearing to do itself and effortless.
like Leela said, you can't get it wrong. It's so true. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful.
Nothing says language shouldn't sound dualistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very practical.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to add to the beautiful pointer, go with the flow. It, it's not a you that's going with a flow. It's there's just flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all there is. Yeah. It's all spontaneous and just and not even happening. No time for an event or a cause and effect. It's just
So the underlying assumption of language can change, but language doesn't change
Mm.
because we know there's no subject object. This is just playful.
And the it's right in here. It's always here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What a relief.
it's always here, Indira. That's why,
Eternal.
yeah, it's always available to you. So
Always.
anytime you're distraught or discouraged or stressed out, it's always available. And that's my feeling. It's like I almost feel like it's like the best kept secret in town.
It's too obvious. It's not even a secret. It's too self-evident, already cognized that it was so easily overlooked.
I could see why there can be a wanting to avoid it too. So that's
Hmm.
also valid. You know.
Yeah, the playful game of hide and seek. Um,
Mm.
yeah, infinite, eternal, never born, never dies, deathless. What a relief.
Mm.
Thank you for joining us, Sid and
Thank
Indira.
you. Thank you, guys. That was so amazing.
Wow,
God talking to itself.
what a joy. Thank you, everybody, so much. Sid, Jenny,
Thank you.
Indira, Leela,
Thank
so
you.
much love.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Love you guys.
Love you
Yay.
guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.